again, we are back with another Coast to Coast Real Estate podcast here today with Jake. And we're going to talk a little bit about what this month is looking like. A little summary to the first month of 2023 in the books.
Yes, sir.
And what are we seeing? What do we feel? How are things the first month?
Different.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know. Like it started off like we talked about a couple of these videos before.
Yep.
You know, as we kind of talk about the dates, like today's February 2nd.
Yeah.
But you know, we started the start of the year. Obviously, we've only had a month in really, and we were like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, you know, we're going to see discounts. We're going to see, you know, the market slowing down and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, you get to closer to the end of January, and my dog's crying. And you get to end of January, now we're having multiple offers again, and homes being priced well, and you're seeing these assessed values. I mean, not that they hold a lot of weight before, but holding even less weight. And I've seen a lot of houses listed, you know, hey, $50,000 below assessed price, right? So it's interesting for sure. Okay, seriously, dude?
Taking the dog out. Well, yeah, you know, I think that's one thing that's been really interesting with going into 2023 is that, you know, we're only a month in, and expectations are already have kind of been shattered with what people are expecting for the beginning of this year to look like. Yes, we have seen things slow down quite a bit in regards to, you know, when you compare anything to last year, it's going to look, you know, like things are slowing down.
Yeah, of course.
But when you look at historically, you know, we have seen a pretty slow start to the year. Not a ton of people buying and selling stuff currently. And the overall discounts, though, I think is what people are kind of surprised about, that we're not seeing more of a drop in pricing, at least on Vancouver Island. Overall pricing has kind of only dropped like around 2%.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I also think when you talk about overall like the market being down, there was a lot of people that were buying homes in 2021 and, you know, it's in points of 2022 because the rates were so low.
Yeah.
And it made sense. You already own real estate, so I can buy another property at 2% or whatever it was. So obviously, that number's going to be down because now people aren't buying the same way. You don't have all these speculative investors like we talked about a lot, and people buying their second or third home because they're going to make money on it and stuff like that. Now it's more people that are buying because they need somewhere to live.
Yeah, it's a lot of the lifestyle people. You know, I'm finding that at least Vancouver Island has been propped up a lot by people that aren't really impacted by rates. You know, it's a lot of cash buyers, people who, you know, it doesn't really, they've been maybe wanting to move to the island for a couple of years, but with all these crazy pricing and how much things have jumped up, it didn't really make a lot of sense for them to. But now that you can get a little bit of a discount in some cases, and when homes are listed quite aggressively, and they're not needing a really big mortgage because maybe they sold their place in Toronto or whatever,
or
Winnipeg, or wherever else, that, you know, they are seeing, okay, well, there's a little bit of a price break and what we've been used to seeing, and a little bit less for multiple offers. And if you're a cash buyer, you know,
you're pretty strong, right? If you go in like this price or under, but you're a cash offer, it's, you know, it's hard to say no to a, hey, you know, my house is listed for $900,000. I'll give you, you know, $850 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we're cash. Like the money's yours. Like it'll be, you know, with the date we pick it closes, we're done.
Well, and it's like, and who cares if the rate goes up or down or whatever? Like if you're a cash buyer, it's like you want the rate to go as high as it possible so that you can, you know, scoop something for a good deal. And you know, we're still seeing, like there was a home that was listed for $615 that ultimately had a 15-way bidding war over the last weekend, and ultimately sold for what, $752. And you know, and that's big, surprising to see a home that sells for $100,000 over asking. But if you look, it was an estate sale, and there's a lot of other factors.
I think it was why it was assessed $800,000 or something like that crazy.
Well, exactly. It's
so I mean, like again, assessed isn't that big of a deal, but I said when you're seeing in this market where people pricing, you know, again, assessments were done at the high point. They're done in July, right? So they're done they were done at the high point of the market. So, you know, assessments are, you know, 10% off that, and that's kind of, you know, where it really should be, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. You know, we are seeing bidding wars, and a lot of the times people were in assessed value is you know, there's tons and tons of videos and content out there about why your assessed value is not your market value. It's for tax purposes only. But it is interesting to see that people were using that assessed value as a baseline for a long time, where it's like, oh, well, this is listed $100,000 over assessed, or people were seeing a lot of kind of list prices that were well over assessed. And now we're at the point where that assessed value is more so, hey, that's a number that's probably a lot higher in some cases than what its actually market value is. And that's something where I think a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads, where they're seeing homes get listed for 200 or 300 grand below assessed in some extreme cases, and are wondering what the deal is. But of course, any home can sell in multiples if you price it low enough.
Well, 100%. Right? You get enough people going, wow, I'll do that for that price. But I think, get back to it as well. Like we talked a bit about like just overall this month. If you tune into our monthly newsletter, some of the Vyreb spokesperson was saying there, is it Kelly?
Yeah, good old Kelly O'Dwyer.
And just saying, it's transactions are slowing down, all this stuff, but for a realtor on the streets, as she says, there's still a lot of traffic going on. Like I said, the last 4 or 5 places I've shown have went into multiple offers and things like that. So there's still a lot going on. A lot of people are interested in what's going on. I think with this last rate hike at the 0.25, 25 basis points there, I think that was big. I think that kind of, to me, shows a bit of a slowing, and obviously as the next inflation reports come out, that'll make a big difference as to kind of what happens in the real estate market in the next couple of months, in my opinion, too.
Yeah, it's we'll definitely see. There's a lot of buyers who that we've been working with that have locked in a rate before these price hikes, and I think there's a lot of people who are going to be looking to purchase a home while they still have that rate locked in.
Yeah,
and so there will be a decent amount of that, but we're curious to see if is this the end of the rate hikes? Are there going to be more? I'm not too sure. It's interesting to see how this will play out getting into spring and summertime.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like I said, sitting where we are right now, it's kind of all up in the air. I don't know. It just seems like there's still a ton of people that have they're starting to kind of open the doors and be okay, I'm ready to look at real estate again. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like you said before, I don't know if rates, obviously they affect people everywhere. Vancouver Island a little bit less, in my opinion, because they're so insulated with the fact that I have 3 or 4 clients right now that have sold their house in Winnipeg, Toronto, wherever it is, and they're just sitting on a couple $400, $500, $600 $1 million waiting for the right thing to come up, and they're ready to jump, right? So you said rate doesn't matter so much. So I think our market will be fueled and carried for the next year or two by people like that.
Yeah.
Like Vancouver Island, it's funny how many people I talk to, my dad even. It's like Vancouver Island's like that pipe trail. I want to move to Mexico one day. It's like how many people I talk to that live in like the prairies and stuff. Like I visited Vancouver Island in 1988, and I knew I loved it then, and I want to move back here.
Yeah.
Like so, I think it's it'll definitely be interesting.
And that's one thing that I've always people have asked. Well, do you think the market's going to crash, and especially on the island? And for me, it's always been a pretty similar answer year after year. It's as long as people like the ocean and people like nice weather. This place is always going to have buyers who are going to want to move over here. And I think that's been what's been kind of propping up our real estate market, and it always has. You look at historically Vancouver Island and Nanaimo in particular, you'll see it's the value of properties. It's been a slow, boring uptick throughout the years, and it really always has been. It's been a pretty predictable, slow and steady upward
until and you hit COVID, then all of a sudden it went like straight.
Which is like the opposite of what people thought would happen. But it is interesting to see how the lifestyle component is such a big thing over here, and unless there's some massive global catastrophe, or at least Canadian-wide catastrophe that causes everyone to lose their money, where as long as there's wealth somewhere in the country, it's going to tend to make its way over to the island, just due to people retiring and coming out this direction, and as population shifts, we'll see how that impacts the overall market. But I think that we're still just seeing people who are coming out here, and if a home has a decent lifestyle component to it, it's probably going to get a lot of attention, and that's what we've been seeing now. Is I've been seeing a handful of listings where they've been listed for 3 months or more, and now they're starting to get accepted offers. But it was pretty quiet for a while, unless the home, had some sort of exceptional feature to it.
Yeah, no, for sure, right? And I actually saw something the other day. Can't remember exactly what it was. Essentially, in BC, we have a very large amount of people that are kind of in their mid to late 50s who, who are looking to retire and get a slower lifestyle and that kind of thing. And then a ton of people that are in their 30s that are starting, new jobs, new families. They want to buy their first real estate and things like that. So I kind of equate those things, and you start looking at places like the island, still affordable in the Nanaimo, and as you go north and stuff like that, still affordable to buy a home. So if you can find a job and stuff over here, If you're in your late 50s like my dad is, and you're thinking, hey, I want to slow down, the mainland's too busy for me.
Yeah.
Well, the island makes a lot of sense too. Like, obviously we've had that battle with the Okanagan and stuff as well, but over the years and the fires, I think those two HMA rapids, we could see a big shift to the island with those numbers.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, that's one thing. That's a really great point. Is we have been seeing a more steady stream of people from the Okanagan coming out this direction. A place that always was a strong competitor. If you're looking at Nanaimo, a lot of the people that were considering Nanaimo were also considering like Kamloops.
Yeah,
because it was very similar real estate pricing for a while, and some people, it's back and forth for the lifestyle. Obviously I picked the island, which is why I'm here and not doing a podcast in Kamloops. But it makes a lot of sense where people are going back and forth. And now I think that, the wildfire season, which it used to be every couple of years, there'd be a bad fire. Now it's every year. There's, some sort of fire and the fear of having to evacuate. And I think that's something that a lot more people are leaning more toward the island, because we don't, have to deal with that necessarily as much.
Yeah, and again, like I think the thing about Kelowna is like seasonally, it gets very busy in the summertime and stuff like that. And for me, like, I love Kelowna. We play football up there. I've been there quite a few times, all that kind of stuff, and take vacations there.
Very familiar with the Apple Bowl.
Yeah, very familiar with the Apple Bowl and the Okanagan Sun. Yeah. Anyways, and like you think, when I compare the two, people talk about Kelowna being way better. It's like the island so far. Well, it's not really, again, super central. We've talked about it before. Close to Victoria, close to Vancouver. Your 20-minute seaplane ride, an hour and a half ferry ride, whatever it is. And then on the island, you're not worrying about fires. And then you don't, like, we get a rush of people in the summer, obviously, on the island. But the island's so spread out where you don't notice this massive difference in traffic and flow like that. Whereas in Kelowna, you hit the summer season and it's just like, it's like living in Vancouver. It's just like a gong show, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's another part of it as well. Like, I think you told me it was, when you first started real estate, you would, if you had 5 buyers that were just considering Nanaimo in the interior, you'd win like 2 of the 5 or 1 of the 5.
Yeah.
And now it seems like we're getting at least half, if not more. Like, I've had 4 or 5 buyers that chose the island over.
Yeah. And one thing I've been seeing recently that, has been pretty new for the last couple of years is seeing people who were from the Okanagan who are just liquidating all their assets out there and coming out over here, which is something that I very rarely saw at the beginning of my real estate career.
At least liquidating, that's fun.
Yeah, they'd sell everything and then come out over here, and it's interesting to see, how that type of change, something that wasn't all that common. And my girlfriend, she's originally from Penticton area, and I have family in Kelowna as well, and it's really interesting to see the dynamic of how things are changing out over there, and how that's really impacting our market down here.
Yeah.
And I think the fires is the biggest thing for why we've seen such a change.
I couldn't imagine, like, people talking on the island, what about a tsunami and stuff? Well, tsunamis don't happen every year.
Yeah, it's true.
Or obviously the natural catastrophes happen and stuff like that. But yeah, every year you have to worry about some idiot going and having a fire in the woods or whatever it is, or it's just getting too hot up there and too dry and brittle where, is my house gonna burn down? And then
it's scary.
And then they're just like rebuilding, and it's just like you're kind of just asking for the same thing, and it just seems like they haven't been able to get a handle on it or figure out anything that's going to stop this, because every year it seems like new record set for hectares burned and all these things. So yeah, it is a scary place to be. And then the health concerns as well. If you're like an older person or someone with health issues, like imagine that smoke for 4 months out of the year, or whatever. It's got so bad sometimes on the island we get health health risk with the smoking. So
over from the smoke from California and down south that drips up this way, and and a lot of people complain about on the island the lack of having to take a ferry or the lack of connectivity to everything. But I remember when we had those huge floods and the Coquihalla was wiped out for a while.
Yeah,
and you're totally disconnected.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you're paying for a flight. So we got this again, seaplane.
Yeah.
BC Ferries, which is just fantastic.
Oh my goodness. Can't say enough positive things about BC
and then the fast ferry coming in, right?
Yeah.
Like that'll be, I mean, they talked about that for a long time, but it seems like it really seems
this
like
summer.
It seems like it's really going to happen. So
I hope so.
Like,
that'd be nice.
Well, you think about like, I think we're getting off topic actually. But you just think about being in like Maple Ridge or Meadows where I grew up. And like, you're 45 minutes an hour from downtown anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the same distance from downtown, but then I get a nice ride, like a scenic view. I don't have to drive.
Yeah.
Like, if I have a couple pops downtown, it doesn't matter to me. I can hop on the ferry, right?
Yeah, that makes a big difference. And no, totally. It makes, it's nice that all the commuting that we do on the island, it's like, 20, minutes if you're going from one side of town to the other. And if we want to go to Vancouver, it's, it's a bit of a boat ride or a seaplane, 15 minutes or whatever. But yeah, we can go on and on about how connected it is and the options that are there.
People are just like, dude, shut up. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think overall, okay, we'll get back to our original topic. January, Vancouver.
This month.
Real estate. This month. Anything else, Trevor, you can think of? Like,
yeah, let me ask you, what are some of the things that you were maybe anticipating for this month that happened, or what are some things that you're surprised about how this month went for the first month of this year?
I would say surprise wise. So again, you traditionally, I'm newer to the real estate world, but even in any sales I've been in the past, your January, February is a lot slower, and we're just starting February.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually you're the one reaching out, doing a lot of follow up and calls and whatnot and advertising. And I was very surprised in the amount of people that reached out to me that were like, "Hey Jake, I saw this house. This one looks great," or this is what we're thinking. This is our plan. And the amount of inquiries and stuff we've had over these like last month, and even in December of 2022.
Yeah,
I wasn't anticipating that. I thought it would definitely take kind of coming to the spring, like March, April, where you'd start getting those people coming back around.
A lot more hitting the phones.
Yeah, well, people I haven't talked to in 6 or 8 months that are like, "Hey, I'm ready to go now. Like, I want to be on the island for the springtime or the summertime," right? So that's definitely something I wasn't anticipating for sure. One thing I am finding that I thought would happen is I've had a few more clients reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm ready to sell my house now." And I did anticipate that kind of happening coming to the spring after this crazy market we were in. And some people just didn't want to be in that situation where their house worth a ton more money, but now they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So now you're in a little bit more balanced market where there's people that were on the island that still want to stay on the island, or like, "Hey, I can sell and do a subject to sale." So I was anticipating getting a couple more of those calls. And I've had 2 or 3 of them now in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Where people are, "Hey Jake, I'm ready to go, and what do you think about a subject to sale offer?" I go, "Well, great, I just had 2 of those done."
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that gives them a ton of courage to want to get their house on the market and ready to go.
Yeah, I think carrying that is seeing the main differences of people who have been really reluctant to sell a home, and saying, "Oh well, the market's dropped so much from last year, and overall pricing hasn't dropped all that much." And I think that what we've been seeing now is just a lot of these properties that are high value when they bring a certain lifestyle approach are still getting a ton of attention. And so there are people that I've spoken with that, a month or 2 ago that said, "Hey, let's just wait and see what happens as we get closer to spring and summertime." Yeah. And now I'm reactivating those conversations and saying, "Hey, it looks like that now actually might be a pretty good time to list your home. If especially if you've been in your home for about 5 years now, you have enough equity in there where you're likely going to be in a comfortable spot where you're still going to make a good amount of cash off your home, unless you paid something crazy back then. And you're still in a position where you could potentially get something at a pretty good discount, where that really wasn't an option even a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, or if it's not even discounts, or if it's just priced well, right? Like I think the big thing coming to this market if you're a seller, in my opinion, is there's a difference between getting your market value for the property and then kind of getting like a little bit greedy, right? Being like, "Well, I need to sell for this much so I can." So that's a big thing as well. I think is just knowing that as a seller, like, hey, like we're not in the market we were before. I'm not going to get that money and then get the discount I want. And I'm still going to make a good, like if you bought your house in 2016, you bought it for $400,000. Chances are you're probably looking like, depending on where you are and what you've done, doubled up or somewhat close.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I'm only going to make 300 instead of 400 grand.
And like exactly. So
it's putting it all into perspective, where it is a matter of you get a home that you made a couple $100,000 on, and the next home you're buying, you're probably going to get out of a discount if you bought it 6 months ago. Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of room there for people who are kind of looking to either move laterally or do a big upsize or downsize. If you're making any sort of big lifestyle change, I think you're in a good position. If you're someone who maybe bought a year ago and you're looking at selling and buying something else, maybe it might not be the best time to do that. Maybe it's good to just kind of, if you have a good rate.
Unless you got a great deal or you rented the hell out of the place and it's worth, but even then, right? Like cost of building a year and a half ago was just like houses, so much more.
Yeah. That's
so hard to find, where again, even if you did a bunch of rentals, like it probably cost you a ton of money to do that, right? Like it's definitely an interesting time.
Yeah, and I think as the market kind of relaxes a little bit in certain ways, you're going to see a lot more availability with trades and stuff, where people who may have been pushing off renovations and getting that kitchen done or doing some of the exterior stuff, they weren't able to do so because for a while, if you wanted to book anyone to do any sort of work on your property, you're paying 5 times more than usual, and you're going to have to be waiting a year or something to be able to actually get the work done. And I think as things have kind of slowed a little bit, at least for listings and the overall amount of people buying, there will likely be a lot more opportunity to actually maybe hopefully save some money on trades and maybe have a little bit more of availability for people to get in quicker than what we were seeing.
Yeah, I am going to get some stuff done here, and the amount of what I thought I would pay to get if you guys can see it right here, like get a dry bar and stuff done there.
Yeah.
What I thought I was going to pay and what my quote was, or my initial quote was, an idea ballpark by the contractor. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like for a piece of countertop and some cabinets and I'll put in and I'll buy a mini fridge for $400 from Costco. Like, I was like, holy, and then in 6 or 8 month timeline, I'm like, dude.
Yeah, a couple $100 for a couple $1,000.
Yeah, like literally, I thought I was gonna pay, like, I was like, okay, if I pay $2,000, like, I'm cool with $2,000. Like,
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, cabinets will probably be like $4,500, and countertop will be this, and then like my labor. I'm like, so it's gonna cost me $6,000 to put in like a 4-foot dry bar, like, and I buy the mini fridge. I'm like, yeah, see, I have a friend that's handy. Maybe I just call him, right? It's definitely a tricky one, but obviously, it's your home. You want to do the right things, and it's good to invest in doing the right things. And there's nothing wrong with DIY. Don't worry, I've done some stuff here.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with it, but time and place kind of thing. That's not something you want to deal with down the road. And you're all of a sudden you're ripping drywall's coming off or something.
Yeah, you get what you pay for a lot of times, and it's good to have that person who has insurance and is able to get the job done properly. But yeah, I think we're going to keep a close eye on how things are going. Obviously, we're super invested in how the market's going and what's happening with the market this year. So we wanted to give a little bit of a summary for how the beginning of this first month, how that's looking. And we'll definitely be in touch with more updates and letting you guys know, what the rest of the year is going to look like. So, who knows? We might be totally inaccurate with our predictions that we made in some of our previous videos. I know I'm already kicking myself a little from our our last prediction. I was like, maybe things will stay slow and we'll get a discount to 5%, and things like that. Get
that back, see that, yeah.
But we'll see. It's been a weird and confusing market with what people can expect, and I think that we're like we said from the beginning, once we get closer to spring and summertime, we'll have a way clearer picture on what this is going to look like. But,
no, I agree, and that kind of I think wraps it up. I mean, coming into February, we'll give you I guess we'll probably do one of these videos at the end of every month, kind of talk about the most previous month. And anything else you want to talk about, Trev?
Yeah, well, like Jake said before, we do have a newsletter which goes a lot more in depth into the actual stats of Vancouver Island. We're more than happy to, if you give us a message with your email, we're happy to add you to that newsletter. As well, all of our podcasts are now actually on audio only for Spotify, Google Play Store, Apple Music. You'll be able to find all of our episodes there. So if you find our talk super motivating, you want to listen to us in the gym or something, you could do that now. So
play for your grandma,
yeah, absolutely.
Your 3-year-old to put him to bed.
Yeah, give him some sound real estate advice to fall asleep to. That would we're more than happy to do that. So definitely give it a like, give it a follow, give us reviews, do everything that would be positive. That'd be super nice. And
I don't know, like I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl actually.
Maybe okay, that's
quick. Let's go into this quick for 5 minutes.
Okay. Quick football.
First, you can comment. Yeah, who wins Super Bowl? We think the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, I think who are you saying? It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
Of course.
Like you see that video of him, he's like to the Cincinnati mayor.
Yeah.
He's like, "No, yo, bro,
and jabroni,
shut your mouth, you jabroni." I laughed pretty hard at that. And anyways, I think the Eagles are pretty sound though, right? Like their defense is stout. Their offense put up 30 points against San Francisco. It's kind of tricky, right? Like, who knows? So like, I'm going to take the Eagles. Honestly, like I just really like Jalen Hurts. I'm not a big Patrick Mahomes fan. Like great quarterback, great, but like weird brother, you know, like
oh yeah,
he just makes all these weird videos, and then his wife gets all fired up and stuff like that. So like, not a fan.
Yeah,
but like, I hope the Eagles win.
Yeah, you know, it's I'm gonna have to agree with you. It's a pretty boring decision from the two of us here, but I agree. I think the Eagles are gonna take the Super Bowl this year just because you know they're a lot healthier. I think you know Patrick Mahomes is he was a bit of a pocket passer last game, and not as mobile with his ankle and struggled a little bit.
But he looked pretty good.
But you know he got the job done for sure. I just think you know overall the Eagles seem to be the team to beat this year.
Yeah.
And
jabroni.
Yeah, it's people complain saying they had a pretty easy schedule, but I don't know that the Eagles they handled their championship game easily. And
I mean, you also played against like Chris McCaffrey's.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I don't know. I kind of want to see Jason Kelce wear that suit like he did that one year. Remember when Nick Foles won the Super Bowl years ago?
Oh yeah,
he wore that like jester suit or whatever it was.
Nice. Well, this is like what was it the stat really said that Carson Wentz's both backups have now brought the team to the Super Bowl, the Eagles.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. But all right, well, we'll have to check in to see after the Super Bowl here whether we are right if
or a
it
bunch
was
of
an Eagles victory. And if it is, then you know this might become a
popping bottles.
Yeah, well, come to us for all of your predictions for sports and the real estate market.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
All right, well, we'll end this one today, and let us know, of course, if you have any other ideas or topics.
Comment below, message us, hit us on our social medias, our Instagram or our Facebook, and yeah.
All right,
thanks, guys.
Until next time, peace.
You jabronis.